NNPCL should not be the sole off-taker of petrol. Well, it is done now. They are not the sole off-taker, but could this be the reason why the NNPCL is no longer the sole off-taker of petrol from Dangote refinery?
Yeah, Sharon, you see, this conversation, you said I've researched.
I believe.
It's a national conversation that we need to engage in from time to time. The important part of it is the participation in this conversation would expose us to the issues surrounding fuel pricing. And we all know that if fuel pricing is done right, that it would help to drive down inflation to a very large extent. It would improve our economy, since the major reason for this high food inflation that we have witnessed over time now is based on cost of transportation, and cost of transportation is directly based on cost of PMS or diesel, PMS, and every other forms of energy, because it also involves the forms of energy that is actually used for food production in food production factories across the country. So it is very, very important for us to keep discussing these costs of petroleum products, that it has impacted so much on our economy. I know when we talk about the monopoly tendency of NNPC, especially towards the Dangote refinery issue, being that they have put themselves as the sole off-taker, a lot of people may have had hopes that if NNPC pulls out, that price of fuel will drop, and if price of fuel will drop, the living condition of people will also improve. But we need to first of all look at the basis for this. You know, the pricing of fuel is based on the international market principles. That is, if we are discussing fuel price, we want to also look at the price of crude in the international market. That is crude oil in the international market. And we also want to look at majorly the devaluation of the naira and what naira is to a dollar now. So immediately we are able to look at that, we'll now see the reason the fuel price is going that high. Now, coming from that understanding, we would also see that Dangote refinery had positioned themselves well. They are able to meet up with the demands of petroleum products, especially PMS in Nigeria now, having started selling diesel for a long time before the petrol refinery, before they got set for the refinery refining of petrol, that's in PMS, the one we call petrol. Now, NNPC positioned themselves to buy because their NNPC, on the one hand, may have been under pressure to ensure that the price is still regulated and controlled. So if they didn't want to hand it off to the forces of demand and supply, and they would want to hold on to it. On the other hand, we could also feel NNPC, having been paying subsidy over time, are enjoying the payment of subsidy due to the corruption therein in the payment of subsidy. Remember when we discussed here some time ago, we talked about the actual subsidy that is being paid out. When even if you establish that you are subsidizing petrol, as in recent time, with 130 naira, how many liters are you subsidizing became an issue. Do we subsidize for neighboring countries? For instance, you may lift fuel from Dangote refinery and some of this fuel still finds themselves out to neighboring countries. And this fuel that is being lifted from Dangote refinery is being subsidized. That is, subsidy is being paid for by the federal government. Could there also be a kind of corruption in that area that NNPC is so enjoying and insists on continuing to pay the subsidy? Then we also look at the pressure on NNPC from that direction. We also look at the pressure on NNPC when Nigerians, the citizens of this country, began to scream that how come you are the only person or the only company that is buying from Dangote refinery.
Yeah.
Why are you so interested in buying from Dangote refinery, a government parastatal as you are, a government corporation as you are, and yet we have a number of 4 refineries that are not working in Nigeria. Why don't you focus on Port Harcourt refinery to get it working? Why don't you focus on Kaduna refinery to get it? Why don't you just think of refining this petroleum product by yourself? Why did you even fail in the first instance for several years to have done this? Then a private company has come up to perform.
And you're so interested.
And you are so interested to be to maybe reduce yourself to the position of a middleman for a private organization. The almighty federal government now becomes let us sell for you. Why do you position yourself in that situation? So all this became a pressure. And when this actually started, when they started taking off fuel from Dangote refinery, the House of Representatives also spoke about it, that we do not feel comfortable with this. Why do we introduce monopoly in this system? Why don't you allow other marketers to negotiate and buy from Dangote refinery? Why are you the sole off-taker of petroleum products from Dangote refinery? Then we also look at the economic pressure on Dangote himself. That is Dangote company, then Dangote refinery itself. That no capitalist, no businessman will be comfortable to sell under a regulated condition, because when you are doing that, it means that you are allowing your business to be controlled by by one person. You are not allowing market forces to come to play that will determine what profit the person makes. You are, in a way, determining profit for the private organization. That you can only take 1 naira profit, 2 naira profit, without also not necessarily that you are involved in the expenses of that company. Because if Dangote tells you this is our profit, how do you determine profit? You have to look at all sides to it. You have to look at what they are spending. Whether you are looking at the expenses in terms of the maintenance of the refinery, the expenses in terms of the everyday running cost of the organization of the refinery, or you are looking at it in terms of their inputs, that is the raw materials that they require to perform as a company. So you would only know deeply about one side, maybe the purchase of raw materials. Are you going to also sit in the company to determine what their operation cost is, and so on? So it doesn't really flow well for a free market economy. So Dangote also came out to say, "Abeg, we don't want this again. Just remove your subsidy, take your subsidy away, and let us be able to do our business freely." But in all this discussion, the benefit to Nigerians, the benefit to the citizens, the benefit to the economy of Nigeria.
You're talking about now the benefit of NNPCL withdrawing at the sole off-taker.
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to ask you about the impact of that decision.
Yes, the impact is also twofold. So I would also want to talk about the positive side of it.
Okay.
In terms of allowing competition in any economic space. When you allow competition, the economy of scale comes to play, And when once that happens, then you are able to see prices going up and down. You are able to see a free flow of prices. You are able to know that, oh, this is what demand is at this time, this is what supply is at this time. As in the first analogy I made about the price of crude oil in the international market and the valuation of the naira, what is naira's equivalent to $1. So when you look at it, if we are able to strengthen our economy such that naira becomes strong, then we also know that the price of fuel will come down. So if we focus on production, if we are able to do other things to make our naira strong, like we discussed the other time, or the other things is basically production.
Yes.
The fundamentals, as the CBN referred to,
Yes.
is production. So if we are able to increase our productivity, then we would be able to strengthen our naira. And if naira is strong, then price of fuel will come down on the one part. Then on the other side, if for any reason the price of crude oil in the international market also comes down, then the price of fuel in Nigeria will also come down. Now, what are those things that are influencing this price of crude oil in the international market? It's basically the Middle East crisis.
Yeah.
We could add the European issue that's talking about Ukraine war. You can add it to it. But basically the Middle East issues now has influenced the price of crude oil going up. And as that is happening, we are having to buy petrol at a very high price in Nigeria. Now, if we are able to take care of those two parts, it means that price of oil will come down. But on the other hand, we also see that the price of even if you bring down, if naira becomes stronger, and if the price of dollar, that is equivalent naira to dollar, comes down, that the price of fuel would also be reflective of what we are selling in Nigeria as well. That is, in terms of when we talk about what can affect prices, we talk about the transportation. For instance, when you look at the pricing of petrol, you see that Dangote is the only refinery for now in Nigeria that is selling petrol. Now, from Lagos to Akwa Ibom, the distance will be calculated. So that is why price of fuel in Lagos, price of petrol in Lagos is lower than what we are having in Akwa Ibom State. And it's also lower than what we have in Abuja. It's also lower than what we have in Maiduguri. But you see, Maiduguri and Abuja seem to have similar prices. So, but the distance is further. So you see that federal government is subsidizing more for petrol going to some of these further places.
Okay.
The petrol coming to Akwa Ibom now, when NNPC brings it to Akwa Ibom, that's the federal government comes to sell in Akwa Ibom, we may be buying it the same price with what is selling in Lagos. But of course, how available is it? That means that federal government is also paying more subsidy to what comes to Akwa Ibom. But basically, this cost of transportation and all that is an issue. So we talk about the establishment of farm tanks in maybe in all parts of Nigeria. You see, if you go to Calabar now, you may be buying fuel cheaper than what you buy in Uyo. Yeah. Because they have a petroleum farm tank. What do you call it? Depot. They have a depot in Calabar. So if this Calabar to road was also good enough for us to be able to be having fuel in, then we would comparatively be buying better, because it would just be an hour journey from Calabar to Akwa Ibom State. So those are the intricacies of pricing of fuel in the country as we stand today. Now, these are the benefits. These are also the challenges that we're having. When we talk about the federal government having monopoly, there is nothing like, it's not as if the price of fuel will come down, because it will be that you have removed the subsidy on the part of NNPC buying alone.
That 100 and something.
When you take them off the road, you have taken corruption off the road. You have taken you've put more confidence in citizens that this is the actual price that we are buying for now. When other variables come to play, it may make the price of fuel also to come down. But for now, the immediate effect, the price of fuel would have to go up because the subsidy, that 132 naira, is off. You know, going by NNPC's claim that they are selling fuel to marketers at 766 naira. But they are buying from Dangote at 898 naira. So immediately they have a difference of 132 naira. So 132 naira is what they have as subsidy, what they are paying for each liter of petrol. That they are paying 132 naira as subsidy. So in this 132 naira, it means that petrol going to Kaduna, Abuja or Maiduguri, they may be paying 136 naira as subsidy. So now, if they open up and say, let marketers come and buy fuel, let other marketers come and buy fuel, then they pull out, or they also be buying, then they will not be paying this subsidy again. So it means that fuel will immediately go up here to whatever new prices will be calculated, because now you are going to calculate this 132 into this 898 and the other variable.
But don't you think that we also need to put into consideration that I know it hasn't started, well, we heard it has started, but Dangote has not received it. I think he's supposed to receive it tomorrow. The new crude that he's supposed to get in Naira. And so by that opening, that window that he's getting in Naira and he's selling back to, now in this case, the marketers in Naira, according to what some analysts have said, this will cause the price of petrol to come down a bit. Are you also of the opinion?
That is also one of the variables you put into discussing the price of petrol. Now, you have the Naira, purchase in Naira gives so much advantage to Nigeria. It is also in two ways. It means that Nigeria, we are not going to spend more money internationally to go and be importing fuel. So we are now using our Naira to pay for petrol in Naira. So now the demand for dollar has reduced. And when once demand drops, price is also dropping. But you see, another aspect to it is that the federal government is still regulating. You know, subsidy goes to dollar, subsidy goes to petrol. So now they are also regulating the subsidy to the Naira. That is why in the calculation of what a liter of what they are selling per dollar, so instead of you calculating using 1,000, I think it's almost 1,700 as at yesterday, of $1 to Naira to dollar to $1. So if it is so, you see that the calculation they are using to calculate this fuel price speculatively is 1,625 or something like that. 1,625. So you see a difference of about 500 to 600 naira difference in 100 and something naira difference. 100 and something naira difference. You see that difference in the calculation. So whatever difference that you have, so if I am buying dollar for 100 and okay, let's just use 1,700 naira to round it up, then you are selling at 1,600. That 100 naira is still a subsidy that is going to dollar instead of to petrol. So that is what you are doing for Dangote. You make the pricing in that way. So whether you are paying subsidy on dollar or you are paying subsidy on petrol, there is still subsidy in the economy somehow. But what my emphasis is that the price of petrol will only drop, or will hopefully drop, when the Naira is strengthened. And this direction that federal government is going is a direction that would help Naira to be strengthened, to be more, that's the purchasing power of people to improve. That is to say that if Naira is being used to buy petrol, remember we talked about 10 to 15% of all the imports, total imports of Nigeria, being spent on petrol. So if you are able to take 10 to 15% and add to the economy to strengthen the Naira, so if it strengthens the Naira, it means in the next 2 months or thereabout, the dollar to Naira rate will favor Nigeria, will favor Naira. Naira would start becoming stronger because the demand for dollar would have reduced. Now, I also said that Dangote itself is producing enough for Nigeria and for neighboring countries. It means that you are going to sell petrol to other countries, like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Niger, whatever country wants to come by, even outside Africa, that you are going to make that sell, and you are going to sell in dollars. When he makes that sell in dollars, that's income for Nigeria. That is dollar. Naira is becoming stronger because you have more dollar, and you are not spending much Naira to be purchased to run after dollars. So once that happens, then the price of petrol will drop as well. You know, I said something some time ago, I think here or in a sister organization, that you see, when people are talking about budget in Nigeria, you say 1 trillion, 20 trillion and all that the real value would have to do with the quality of goods and services that we are producing, not necessarily to be calling the amount, and also the value of our Naira. So if you are earning 10,000 Naira as salary, that's 10,000 Naira. If Naira is devalued, may not value up to 2,000 Naira. If Naira is strong, that 10,000 may value up to 15,000 Naira because it has strength to purchase more things. If Naira is strong, you are going to be able to purchase things the way you should purchase. And once that happens, you come back to the production area, that is the real sector of the economy, talking about the manufacturing sector particularly. We know today that the manufacturing sector is suffering heavily due to high cost of energy. High cost of energy includes the price of fuel, the price of diesel, that's fuel for petrol, the price of diesel, the price of gas, and electricity. So you see, I heard Manufacturers Association of Nigeria saying that they spend about 30% of their production cost, 30 to 40% of their production cost goes on energy. So imagine that we are able to reduce the cost of energy, whether it is electricity, diesel, or petrol, and we are able to reduce that. It means that what you normally go to the market to buy for 1,000 Naira may reduce to 600 Naira if you are able to reduce that. So if price of for toothpaste, for example, is costing maybe 600 Naira or 1,000 Naira, so you can be buying that same toothpaste for 400 Naira. So it means that you are earning is a fixed amount, but the quality of your life gets better, is getting better, because your purchasing power is strengthened by the value of your local currency. That is the Naira in this case. It's strengthened by the value of your local currency. So when we are looking at it and we are able to understand it in terms of looking at the economy circumspective, wholly looking at the economy, we are able to see the interrelationships between all these factors that are coming to play in order for our economy to be strengthened. One of it is food, particularly. The money that people spend on food is so high that it is affecting other spheres of life, other spheres of living. So when you spend so much on food, how much do you have left to pay for electricity, that is domestic electricity, or for domestic gas? How much do you have left to spend on luxuries or clothes or anything else that may make life better, or on your training and development, or other aspects of life that will make life better for you? But if our economy is such that we are able to do things, be more productive, to make the naira to be very strong, then we are likely to see us living a better life. So it is not just about how much fuel costs, it is more how much the value, what the value of naira is at the time being, for the now, and how it's going to impact on our lives.
Marvel, now that the major oil marketers will be having direct access to Dangote's petrol, what regulatory measures are and should be in place to prevent price manipulation or even hoarding that could negatively affect consumers?
Thank you for asking that question, because no matter how you strive to make a thing better, you know, the regulators would have to be at work. The other thing we discussed about the Consumer Protection Agency that is supposed to be in the country, and I don't even know whether they are here in Enquiry. I don't really feel the effect or impact of the Consumer Protection Agency. From time to time in Enquiry, you hear us government setting up task force. Recently, I even heard the governor talk about setting up task force against those people that are sabotaging our economy by adjusting their pump prices. That you go to buy 1 liter of fuel and they are giving you less than a liter of fuel. So you pay for 10 liters and you go home with 8 liters and all that. So now, being the country that we are, still evolving and growing, a growing country that we are, being a country that we still need koboko for us to be able to do the right things.
Do we?
We really need koboko. See people, the way people are driving one way in Uyo up and down, and they will need force to tell them that it's wrong to drive one way. It's pathetic. But then, that is the country that we are living, that is still evolving, that will get us to the best place that we want to be. Now, we need strong regulatory agencies to ensure that you pay for a liter of fuel and that it is a liter of fuel that you are getting. We need such regulation to be put in place. We need regulations that would also ensure that the private organization that is running the fuel, that's the only refinery now, is also giving us quality in terms of the quality of fuel that we are getting. You heard some times ago, I think we discussed about fuel coming into the country, imported fuel coming into the country, and it burns faster than other forms of fuel, even though that was one of the selling points of Dangote refinery, that they are coming with a very high quality fuel. And of course, now that we know fuel is coming from Dangote refinery, it is to the advantage of people to also see that if the quality is low, that what will happen is that we are facing Dangote and say, come on, you are giving us low quality petrol. And if other refineries also start working, we would know this petrol is from Port Harcourt refinery, and this is how the quality is. So you could also see competition telling you, don't buy from Port Harcourt refinery, buy from Dangote, or don't buy from Dangote, buy from Kaduna refinery. Those are the people that are having quality fuel. So while these other ones will be making higher sell, as a free market economy will require, then you would see people starting to work, that is the organizations, the refineries, starting to focus more on quality. And at the end of the day, it is the citizens that will benefit more, because the quality of fuel, the pricing of fuel will be done right. The regulatory agencies should be in all these places to monitor, to see that quality comes to the consumers, that the fellow consumers benefit from whatever spending or whatever they pay for, that they are able to get it right.
Okay, so thank you, Marvel. With the NNPC no longer absorbing the subsidy, how will the government now mitigate the possible public backlash if petrol prices significantly increase? Could this lead to further protests or unrest? Do you see this happening?
We are a country that is totally dependent on petrol. Because you sell crude oil, that's where we have money from. You use it for transportation, we use it for energy, other forms of energy. Now, if it's not an area the federal government will put its eyes off completely. The federal government cannot afford to do that, since our agricultural sector is not as strong yet to be able to sustain the economy of Nigeria. We are still dependent on this. So federal government would put all its energy and eyes on this area. That is why in the first place they removed regulation from all other places and left it on petroleum. They still have very strong regulations.
But according to one of the
petroleum.
papers that I read yesterday, that sector is now completely deregularized, and they are no longer fixing prices. I saw that, I think, on the Guardian newspaper yesterday.
The petroleum sector?
Yes.
It is deregularized in principle, but I am saying federal government cannot take its eyes off it for now.
Okay.
It cannot afford to do. It's attempting, it's trying to do that. Don't forget, as we speak this morning, we are only speaking speculatively regarding this price, this NNPC being the only off-taker. NNPC has not come up to say so yet, that they have removed their hands from being the only, from that monopolistic tendency. They have not said so. Dangote Refinery on its part too has not come up to say we are having other marketers come to buy from us. They have not admitted it that NNPC has removed its hands from it. So we are only being certain because reliable sources have alleged or claim that this is what is going to be, that they're going to, other marketers are going to be buying. We even heard about 3 marketers come out to say that they are already buying from Dangote Refinery. 3 marketers have come out to say that they are already buying from Dangote Refinery. Whatever the negotiations were and how it is, we do not know. But we are discussing here about the effect on the price of petrol and how we are going to find it. And it is very, very likely because, of course, this subsidy or this monopolistic tendency cannot, from NNPC, cannot continue forever. It has to stop, and maybe now that it should stop the subsidy and the monopolistic tendency due to the reasons that are often given regarding corruption within NNPC. The effect of pricing of petrol, however, whatever will benefit the people through an open market economy is what the federal government may be trying to push in for now. So if the federal government attempts it and finds out that, like your question said, if it keeps going high, the federal government will intervene immediately. That's my emphasis, that the federal government cannot leave that sector alone completely, because it is the major, it is the only, if I may use only against major, that it is the only thing that the federal government is using to sustain the country, petroleum. So they cannot just say, oh, let us leave it to a free market, because if you do, the price is too high. Nigerians are already dying of hunger. The economy is already so battered due to this petroleum price issue. So if you leave it and it becomes so high, federal government would like to intervene, in my opinion anyway. Federal government would like to intervene immediately.
All right, in 5 minutes, because we're about to go on a commercial break. Marvel, on the papers also today, the Minister of Petroleum Oil has said that they're trying to secure 4 different investors, foreign investors, to come build their refineries here.
Yeah.
This is competition, of course, but what could be the long-term impact of this? Are we going to see, do you foresee a drastic reduction in price? And some people have also said that this the federal government should focus on the refineries that we have here instead of trying to bring in foreign investors to build in their own refinery here.
No, this is going to be, it's a fantastic news. It's a fantastic thing. I read about the Korean companies that are interested in coming in to help us establish refineries. It's their business. If they come in to do that, then it's going to be the best for Nigeria. That we have to, it's just the simple economics that when supply exceeds demand, what happens? So if that happens, it means that supply is going to exceed demand in Nigeria, and we are going to benefit from it. And you see, when technical people are discussing this barrel of oil and what it can produce, you see they're already making profit in other forms of oil. So some people say this petrol from a barrel of oil is like it's not as priced. It's not supposed to be as priced as it is now. So this truth may come to be if we have all these other modular refineries coming to play with the mega refineries that we are having. Like Dangote has come up now, Port Harcourt refinery will soon come up, other refineries may soon come up. So it may even drive other refineries to sit up and come up and do it's a beautiful thing. If the more the refineries, the better. I pray we also have a refinery coming to Akwa Ibom. When I saw that, I was reading through it to say, where are they going to locate these refineries? Please bring a refinery to Akwa Ibom State. Because if we have a refinery in Akwa Ibom State, then automatically would have had a depot in Akwa Ibom State. And if we do, we will not be buying fuel in the differentials we are witnessing. So people in Lagos will be buying fuel at a lower price. We are buying it higher here, like I explained about the cost of transport. So you would have taken away the cost of transport, and we would also be enjoying a lower price of fuel in Akwa Ibom State.
Okay. We also had a discussion recently, not with you, with another analyst, with this switch to the CNG. And how we're going to start, transferring or transforming into from petrol powered vehicle to CNG vehicles, and that will in return now reduce our dependence on petrol. First of all, the sustainability, especially when it has to do with Dangote petrol now seeming to cushion the effect, the hardship on Nigerians. Do you think that this is timely?
It is very, very timely. The CNG vehicles, don't forget we have started manufacturing vehicles in Nigeria.
Yes.
If you like, call it assembling of vehicles in Nigeria. But whatever it is, we are making vehicles in Nigeria. And some of these Nigerian manufactured or assembled vehicles are already installing the CNG capacities in their vehicles.
Yeah.
The conversion of already petrol vehicles may be slow because the conversion plants it's not easy to set them up, and if government invests in it to set them up in many of these places, then we would have many people want to convert because gas is far cheaper. That's the compressed natural gas is far cheaper than petrol. So people would like to have use gas for their vehicles
instead of
the conversion process, the plans to convert this, and even the places like you have petrol stations, you also have gas stations. You have to establish those things, so it may take some time for us to. But for the commercial vehicles, they can bank on getting new vehicles from their ones assembled in Nigeria here, or taking them for conversion in those plants.
All right. Thank you very much, Marvel. I really love to open the phone lines right after this break. So we've been talking about the petroleum sector, and we'll be talking more after this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on Memories 96.5 FM. This is the melting point, and we have 12 minutes left. We would love to hear from you. Before the break, we were talking about the NNPCL reportedly being no longer, rather, the sole off-taker lifting petrol from the Dangote refinery. And as it is, report has it that major oil marketers are set to start lifting petrol from the Dangote refinery. And we're talking about the impact of the removal of the NNPCL as the middleman in this equation. And we've gotten a number of insights from our analysts today. It's time for us to hear from you and answer some of your questions. 0803 085 7755, 0803 085 7755, or 0809 066 6909, 0809 066 6909, or you could just send a message on WhatsApp, or rather on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook. The handle is Memories 965 FM. Go drop a comment there, and we'll definitely be reading out to our analysts. Marvel, what role do you think the Nigerian government should play going forward in ensuring that the transition from NNPC's sole off-taker role does not disproportionately affect low-income earners, considering the broader implications of rising fuel costs on transportation and goods prices?
Like we discussed, you say immediately this happens, and the immediate price of fuel will go up. Now, the impact on the people, the impact on transportation has been so heavy already, so it's going to be more in terms of the affecting the people's purchasing power. But our hope is that now that they have hands off, if they will hands off this subsidy issue, is going to be very well and good in terms of the market forces coming into play a role, because when you have more people buying, you will also have more people determining prices. So if you don't, he wants to sell and gain 1 naira, the other one may say 50 kobo is okay for me, and that kind of competition would help to bring down the price of fuel. That is our hope, and in economic principle as well, following all forms of economic valuation, you will find out that where you have more players in an industry, that the price advantage goes to the consumers. So if we have that situation, we would have to just bear this initial high price that we are going to witness in the next few weeks. But thereafter, as more players receive their petroleum products, as more players are able to calculate their cost of transportation. For example, if you are transporting by sea, how is it going to be expensive for you? Or if you are transporting by rail, or if you are transporting by road, what is the actual price of transportation of these things will come to play. So if I'm able to negotiate with the logistics people, and I'm able to get a lower price for logistics, I may transfer that to my consumer, or to my consumers, in order for me to push up my turnover, because I know as a typical business person, the turnover matters a lot. So everybody will be driving towards increasing their turnover. You have a higher turnover, give them a higher profit. So in the course of driving for this higher turnover, consumers are likely to benefit more in terms of pricing. The price is likely to be a factor, apart from the service that they are going to provide, because sometimes it's not just about the price, it has to do with the service as well. So if I'm able to get to your fuel station and I'm getting additional services, I'm able to get quality from your filling station in terms of consumer or customer relationship and other things, it adds up to help us, to help businesses drive up their turnover. And when once they are going in that direction, putting in that effort, the citizens, the consumers stand to benefit more.
Interesting. With 2 minutes left, given that Dangote refinery is expected to supply a significant portion of Nigeria's fuel needs, how might the refinery's pricing strategy affect competition among domestic and international fuel suppliers? And could this shift lead to price volatility in the market?
Price
volatility?
Already I think we've reached a certain level of optimum. You see, a lot of things may have played out when we had the inflation rate, that is the general average inflation rate stabilizing for 2 months in Nigeria. A lot of things may have come to play. One of it may be the purchasing power of individuals. We will begin to make choices of goods and services that we patronize. So when other companies, as companies are shutting down, prices are going up, and people are not able to afford, people begin to manage things. So if you were eating fufu, at first fufu is more expensive than gari, so you turn to gari and leave fufu. So if the fufu sellers find out that they are not able to make a good turnover, then they may also be forced to bring down their prices, or their prices may become stable due to those factors. So no matter how you look at it, the international players may not at the immediate be so influential as it stands today, because it's a Nigerian thing now. If you are using naira to buy petrol, you're going to sell it in naira, and other factors just come into play within the country would not allow such a high volatility on prices anymore, because we've already reached what I think, in my opinion, is the optimum of all this, what can really play in the economy of Nigeria today. If it goes higher than this, Sharon, you begin to see people dying on the streets.
We don't want to get to that point.
We don't want to get to that point.
No,
the government may be very much aware of that very fact, that we cannot allow it to go worse and get to that level where people will begin, or kwashoko will come in again into Nigeria after the civil war. We want to see a situation in Nigeria where government focus more on production, where we focus more on providing security for our farmers to be able to go back to the farms, and we see productivity going up in a manner that we are able to control this economy and have the value of Naira strengthened. Because you will find that my emphasis is more on the value of Naira, which is something we can control. For the international oil price, we may not be able to control that, but we can control what we produce here. But if you look at it very well, if the international oil price goes up and we are able to strengthen our entire economy in terms of our productivity within the country, it still stands to our benefit, because the oil price, we sell the oil, we're able to sell it at a high price, but we are having production in Nigeria. We're also able to export other things like agricultural product and other things from Nigeria that will help us to make more income into Nigeria. Our GDP will look well.
All right.
And congratulations for Nigeria for exceeding the trade, for having a trade surplus. For the past 20 years, we have not had a trade surplus in Nigeria, but we've had that, even though it's fluky, because that trade surplus is coming from portfolio investors. If it were something that we are producing, we are selling, we are manufacturing things, we are selling and making such a trade surplus, it would have been a big thing, because you would have employment rate going so high. And when you have employment rate going, the standard of living of people will improve. All this underemployment, which is even more than the unemployment rate, is affecting us terribly. You have people who are having solid skills in other areas not being able to perform to their skill level. That's the underemployment I'm talking about. Then you have people that are not even able to get jobs at all. But when you strengthen the real sector of the economy, then you stand a very high chance of strengthening your economy on the general.
Thank you very much, Marvel.
Thank you so much,
Once
Sharon.
again, very insightful. See phone calls right now. Can I take it? Let me take one call before we call it a wrap. Hello, good morning. Good morning and welcome. Welcome, blessing. Okay, blessing, thank you very much. Marvel,
let me quickly
sharing the money.
There's no subsidy in the first place. The federal government did not remove subsidy from our analysis. They are still paying subsidy till today. So it's nothing like what the state governments are getting is the benefit from the valued naira. So you have more money to the federal government based on devalued
All
naira.
right. Thank you very much, Marvel. We have another conversation at 11. Okay, thank you very much for listening. My name is SHARON MANDOR. Once again, thank you so much, Marvel.
Thank you, Sharon.
We'll be back again for the Melting Point tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. My name is SHARON MANDOR.